Oh, hey you. It's Kat and Steve with the Positively Midwest podcast.
Well, hello there. Now, before this next episode, let's talk about sharing our mission.
To help, we have hooked up with Anchor.fm to help us keep launching Positively Midwest to as many ears as possible. The more we expand our reach, the more lives we can help inspire.
If you haven't heard of Anchor, it is the easiest way to make a podcast. Bonus, it's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer.
Well, Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google, and many more.
You can make money with no minimum listenership, which helps our cause.
It's everything you need to make a podcast in just one place.
So go now, download free Anchor app or go to anchorapp.fm to get started.
Now, sit back and enjoy the next episode of the Positively Midwest podcast. Well, howdy doody, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Positively Midwest. My name is Steve Jurens, and across from me, as always, is my lovely wife, Catherine Jurens.
Well, hello there, Mr. Jurens.
Hi, listeners. How's everybody doing?
Oh, man. This guy keeps us on our toes, I tell you what. Doesn't he just, bring radiant laughter to your day? Feeling the love.
Anyway, so welcome to episode 64, everybody. Tonight's episode is making an effective apology. Tonight, I always picture that I'm on a talk show, we used to watch a lot of the late night show and stuff like that, and so I think that's why I always say tonight, plus we always generally record them at night.
Yeah, they just drop in the AM.
Yes, every Wednesday at 7 a.m. If you're listening, you've already found us, and you're on episode 64. Holy smokes, thanks for coming along.
Yeah, it's been an amazing ride.
So, we have come a long way in 64 episodes, and we're going to continue to evolve, continue to grow, and do all these fantastic things together. So, I have been taking online classes through Greater Good Science based out of Berkley, basically. So it is called the Science of Happiness, and I am just absolutely loving it. There's so much information coming out of it, and to really learn the psychology behind some of the issues I've had. Counseling has helped with that, yet alone this. So just recently, one of the classes or courses or what you call her, it's breaking down apologies. So this is they have Greater Good practices that you can do, and we'll post the website up with the episode so you can follow it. But this is a practice of making an apology, making an effective apology. A good apology involves more than saying sorry. So what's neat is that they put duration as variable, frequency variable, and difficulty intensive. They always rate them like that for some odd reason. So, why you should try something like this? Apologizing for an offense is an important step towards forgiveness and reconciliation, but not all apologies are equally effective. In an effort to avoid blame, we sometimes offer apologies that are hedged or incomplete. And these half-baked apologies are less likely to be well received. In some cases, that might even backfire, fueling hurt and resentment. It takes courage and vulnerability to admit wrongdoing and try to make things right. There's always the possibility that our efforts will be rebuffed. But given the healing potential of apology for all parties, it's a worthy effort, even if forgiveness isn't the end result. Not sure if you guys can hear Onyx barking in the background, but
I'm sorry for her interrupting this.
Well, no reason to apologize. I think by now everybody knows we do it right in our house, in the office. We haven't done a simultaneous live for a while.
Yeah,
So-
they don't want to see the Christmas tree right now.
No, they do. We just don't ever want to dress up nice enough to do it. Why it works. Apologies that include these elements are more likely to be effective because they satisfy the psychological needs of the offended person. which I'm going to go into a little bit more detail here later, what some of those are. They can restore the offended person's sense of dignity, validating that they are not to blame and did not deserve to be hurt. They can give the offended person an opportunity to express their feelings and grieve their losses, and in some cases they can contribute to a sense of justice. A sincere apology can also reassure victims that they are safe from further harm, making them more likely to trust the offender again. So, I used to say at times back in the day, don't say you're sorry, just don't do it again. So, as rude and narcissistic as that might have been at times, I think there's part of it that does hold true. You know, if it's a really deep, bad thing that you did, you know, then don't just apologize. Don't do it again.
Well, yeah, but the words are like a good way of somebody owning up to their mistakes and like being able to truly, you know, show you their empathy for maybe what they did to you. And so it is a thing that you need to do. It's part of that holding ourselves accountable for our actions, but then never to do it again is our teachable moment from that action that then you set into motion, because your actions do speak louder than your words. And so it's one of those things that you don't just want to apologize and continue to do the repeat offense. So it's like you truly mean you're sorry and then work on your, your repentance in a sense of, fixing the problem.
Yeah. So let's break down this making an effective apology. So how to do it. Number 1, acknowledge the offense. Acknowledging the offense is an essential element of a good apology, but many apologies don't do this adequately. Apologies are most likely to be well received if you show that you recognize who is responsible, who was harmed, and the nature of the offense. For example, saying, "I made a mistake," is more effective than saying, "mistakes were made," which fails to allocate responsibility. Similarly, acknowledging that harm occurred is better than making vague statements that minimize the legitimacy of the offended person's grievances. For example, "I'm sorry you feel hurt," or fail to acknowledge the specific offense. "I'm sorry for, whatever I said yesterday," rather than, "I'm sorry for making that insensitive joke."
Yes. It's all about being genuine.
Yeah. So, number 2, provide an explanation.
Exclamation?
Yeah. Explanation. Excuse me. In some cases, it's helpful to explain an offense, especially to convey that it was not intentional and that it will not happen again. But explanations, I think it's because I talk to text a lot, so I'm always like, blah, 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 exclamation point. Anyway, but explanations that sound like excuses or blame the victim. For example, "You were really getting on my nerves," tend to be counterproductive. It's better to say, "There's no excuse for my behavior," than to offer a shallow defense.
Yeah, sorry. I was processing all of that in one, and I was really slow to process that.
And the dog barked in the background again.
Yeah, but I was really trying to dive into that one. So sorry, continue.
Yeah, you're good. So number 3, express remorse. When you hurt someone, it's natural to feel shame, humiliation, or remorse. Expressing these feelings communicates that you recognize and regret the suffering you caused. Be careful of phrases like, "That was uncharacteristic of me," which might convey that you aren't taking full ownership for what happened. Instead, acknowledge your disappointment in yourself and commitment to improve.
Yeah, because it's still about, even if something is uncharacteristic for you, it doesn't mean that gives you the right. It's kind of like I read that thing, and I think I've shared it before, where it says that just because that you're in a bad mood or something bad happened to you doesn't give you the right to be an asshole to somebody else. So it's along those same lines of, you cannot make the excuse of, "Well, this is why I was so wrong to you." It's still taking that accountability for what you did.
Yeah. Very well put. Thank you. So, number 4, make amends. A good apology should include efforts to repair the damage done. Reparation for tangible offenses, such as loss of property might involve compensation or replacement, whereas reparation for less tangible offenses, such as a violation of trust, might involve taking steps to improve your behavior, such as attending marriage counseling. When considering how to best make amends, be sure to ask the offended person what would mean the most to them, rather than simply doing something to relieve your own feelings of guilt. Self-punishment, for example, might alleviate guilt without actually benefiting the victim.
Gifts like that don't always just take care of the problem too. So, if you're looking at your marriage and you did something wrong, just buying a present does not take it away. Truly go deeper into how you can show your partner, or how you can show a friend, or how you can show somebody that you are truly sorry versus just slapping a price tag on it.
Yeah. So there's also a forgiveness quiz that's on here. So it's how forgiving are you? When someone hurts you, are you more likely to turn the other cheek or slash their tires? The quiz below draws on a scale created by forgiveness research pioneer Michael Michallo and his colleagues, offering insight into how we respond to those who do us wrong. And then it says, before starting the quiz, think about someone, a friend, a spouse, or family member, a coworker who has hurt you. Then respond as honestly as possible to the 12 questions with that person in mind, indicating how much you agree or disagree with each statement. When you're done, you'll learn your score and what it suggests about your typical response when someone mistreats you.
I'm never good at quizzes like that.
Yeah.
That ask you the whole 1 to 5 thing.
Well, and the thing about it, it says before you start the quiz, think about someone, and then they say a friend, a spouse, a family member, or a coworker who has hurt you. Well, I would probably treat a coworker differently than I would my spouse or a friend or something. So I'll just read through them, and then I won't do the scoring, because I think it really matters. Maybe it's something you've recently been afflicted by or something like that, and then you'll just need to take it into consideration. So I'll make him/her pay. And then it's strongly disagree. This is how they all are. Strongly disagree, neutral, agree, or strongly agree. Well, I'm probably, if my wife pisses me off, more than likely I'm not going to go, I'm going to make her pay. I'll keep as much distance between us as possible, if it's a coworker or if it's a friend. And then it depends on what the infraction is. So you'll have to think about what that is. But maybe you can replay this and do the quiz. But I'd probably just go to their website, because I forgot that it actually calculates and then gives you little tips and suggestions. So I knew that something bad would happen to him or her. Number 4, I live as if he or she doesn't exist, isn't around. I don't trust him or her. I want him or her to get what he or she deserves. I can say I know that's something that I've struggled with. And I know they talk a lot about forgiveness, actually, in the upcoming classes I'll be taking here. And I'm excited to dive into that because that's obviously something Catherine and I have had to deal with on multiple different occasions. So it'll be nice to have conversations with you guys and engage some thoughts there. I find it difficult to act warmingly toward him or her. I avoid him or her. I'm going to get even. I cut off the relationship with him or her. I want to see him or her hurt and miserable. And 12, I withdraw. Because I withdraw from him or her. So then you can submit all the answers, and then it gives you a little, tally, if you will. And then there's a podcast episode too. I really like how these guys put things together, but you can listen to it on Spotify and Google, and wherever you listen to us too. But one is scheduling time to feel awesome. And so it's more the Science of Happiness podcast is what it is. So they suggest this one because feeling awe can boost your mood and make you feel more connected with others. Why we're drawn to nature. Are you setting the right goals? And healing through gratitude. So I've listened to a couple of those, I think. So anyways, that is making an effective apology. They tell you why you should try it, how to do it, a little quiz, some podcasts to back up. You can download the PDF for it as well. You could print it out and go over it with your partner if you'd like to. any of that stuff.
Well, on that quiz, we know, because we've talked so many times about, in order to move forward in a healthy way, of you're having to release your past, or you're having to release that negativity. And if there's nothing you can do to change a situation, how then you have to try to find a way of moving forward and moving past and overcoming those situations. I mean, so we already know that by those extremes of paying people back and giving them what they deserve and all those things are not the healthy way of going about a situation, a problem, or a circumstance. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. So we've talked about that numerous times. And so already, if that's how you're feeling towards the situation, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, you need to look deeper into finding a healthy way of coping with your hurt that somebody may have caused you. And that's where, Stephen has talked about therapy. We talk about it time and time again. We absolutely love it. We're proponents for it. And there are things in our past that can be very hard to work through. And that's what we're talking about now, going into forgiveness. And so if there's somebody in your life or somebody in your past that has pained you to the extreme that you're wanting to go to those strongly agrees on a few of these things, make sure that you're reaching out and able to handle that in a healthy manner.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So one of the other things that I found was an effective apology must satisfy at least one of these 7 psychological needs of the offended person. So one is it does helps restore their dignity. Sometimes when you're the one who was wronged, if it's a trust issue or, you hurt them publicly in front of people or embarrass them, they lose a bit of dignity now. 2, it affirms that both parties have shared values and agree the harm committed was wrong. So I think we talk a lot about empathy and we talk about compassion in these apologetic states. I think both of those emotions are being engaged. Number 3, it validates that the victim was not responsible for the offense. Again, if you're narcissistic or you deal with a narcissistic personality, you probably know what this feels like. But a lot of times they'll turn that around on you and make it sound like it's your fault. And, I don't know what example it would be, but maybe one would be going out with your friends a lot. It seems like a lot, and your wife wants you to be home more. And instead of, why is it that, why don't you bring your wife with you? Or is there things, so in my situation, whatever I might have wanted to partake in, it was funner to do with my wife not there and my friends. So then I'd spin it around on her and, well, it's your fault you don't plan anything or you don't do this or do that. And probably could have handled that a much more positive way. So herein lies, we have to realize that there was a common problem there and she wasn't responsible for being upset, So number 4, also it assures that the victim is safe from a repeat offense. So now again, remember this is an effective apology. And so if you effectively apologize and you are genuine and you don't do this action again, they can trust that that won't be repeated. So again, depending on what kind of issue it was. But reparative justice, or the offender suffers the same type of punishment. Number 6, provides reparation, some sort of compensation for victims' pain. I think that all depends on the situation, so you have to explore that a little deeper. But, if you drove through somebody's yard and ripped it all up, you probably need to compensate and figure it out. Or, if you hurt somebody's feelings, why don't you find a positive activity that that they would appreciate and set that up for them? If it's a really small thing, sure, buy them a cup of coffee and apologize or something like that. It all depends on the depth or the severity of the issue. Right? Mm-hmm. So, number 7, fosters dialogue that allows victims to express their feelings toward the offender and even grieve over their losses. So, I think that's very important that you do allow the victim, in this sense, to express their feelings. all too often, especially when you've really screwed up, whether it's your teacher, or your spouse, or your boss. When you already know you're in trouble, what's the first thing we say? I already know I'm in trouble. I know I screwed up. I'm sorry, blah, 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 because you don't want to hear about it. But the person who is offended, in whatever context that means, they want to get it out. Now they need to unload that burden, in a sense.
Their pains.
Yeah. Oh, and I had this highlighted too, because we went to a speaker through this work thing, and he broke down these different things to being a leader. And one was, I kept repeating it, I shortened, but anyone can be a boss, but very, very few people can be a leader. And this one was, leaders that apologize had increased psychological health. So not only is it better morale for your employees, but it's better for themselves, it takes away that barrier. Like, yeah, I'm just a human being. Yeah, I'm the boss. You got to listen to me. But if I make a mistake and I apologize, that's psychologically healthy for both parties. So, and it's also all of this, if you incorporate it into your apologetic nature, it is the most effective route to forgiveness. So, if you're doing something naughty and you need to be forgiven, take some of these tips and apply them to your repertoire.
But it's kind of like the thing where we've talked about too, is saying sorry too many times when it's not like truly, like I said, I've struggled and I'm working towards stop saying sorry for every little thing. Like, I constantly am taking blame for all the little things. And sometimes it's not even like remotely something that the word sorry should be accounted for. And so if you say sorry too many times without truly meaning it, or without it being like in full effect, then you're taking away from the time that you really do need to have those real apology words.
Yeah.
It's like crying wolf in a sense, but almost like opposite, Well,
it's certainly not a genuine and effective apology. If it's, I don't know. You always forget to shut the basement light off, which is our problem around here. You're like, oh yeah, crap, sorry, I forgot. Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot. Well, obviously, just for a contextual basis, that's, an empty apology in a sense. It's like, I'm not going to kick her out of the house or whatever because she leaves the light on, but it's something that peeves me off, and all the girls do it, and but it's like, oh yeah, sorry, I forgot. Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot. Whereas in, you purposely crash the car into a tree. That's hard. It's hard to just say sorry to. I don't know why you would do that. I'm just whatever.
Interesting.
Sure. Anyways, so thanks email for popping up while I'm recording. So anyways, that kind of, in a sense, for me, wraps up a very short episode of making an effective apology. I think we understand why it's positive. I think we understand why it's necessary. And
it moves us forward in changing our mindset on situations.
Continuing to show growth.
Yes.
And you can go to the website that we'll have onto the description below where you click to listen to this podcast, and you'll be able to go and check that stuff out. We'll give them credit.
Awesome.
Yep. So, thank you all for listening to Positively Midwest.
I hope we continue to engage your thoughts and inspire you. Oh, wait, that's your line.
Are you ready to close her out?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay,
thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Yay. Thank you all from the bottom of our hearts for listening to the Positively Midwest podcast. Our hope is to inspire, engage each other's thoughts, and leave you with some great advice. Be sure to join our Facebook group and follow us on Instagram at Positively Midwest Podcast. Make sure you like, comment, share, and screenshot our podcast with all your cool friends. Every little bit helps. We are on most all major platforms, and you can stream it on our website at positivelymidwest.com. Thank you, and as always, please always stay positive.